Welcome to our WQA Volunteer Summit. Happy to have you on board, everyone, if you're joining us live or perhaps watching at a later time. I'm Wes Lee, WQA's Marketing and Communications Director, and it is with great pleasure that we have you on the Volunteer Summit today. And as part of WQA Member Appreciation Month, it's kicking off today, November 1st. Wow, time does fly. Here we are, just a couple of months left in 2023. All right. And the program is going to be basically, this is an opportunity for you to hear updates and get a little more insight into our various committees and advisory councils and so forth to make sure that you're up to speed with what's going on at the Water Quality Association. And so first up, to start with our Business Operations and Training Committee is Mike McGowan with McGowan Water Conditioning. He is a certified master water specialist, and he is chair of the Business Operations and Training Committee. So, Mike, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Wes. I appreciate that. So our committee goals are to identify business ops related to our industry. And, we do this using past convention surveys to gather information and ideas. And so we encourage everyone to participate in those surveys. It really does help us. We select and review finalized business operations content for boot camp and convention both, and work alongside WQA staff, of course, and we adhere to WQA's Code of Ethics in what all we're putting together. So our accomplishments, we hosted the 2023 Business Boot Camp, had 85 attendees, and we were kind of focused on marketing and finance. We had reviews from boot camp, some of the best we've ever had. And really, I got to hand it to Candace Wentling. She did an excellent job chairing last year. And of course, staff was invaluable with that as well. The boot camp attendees joined the WQA PFAS symposium for lunch that day too. So that breaking up boot camp and to listen to that speaker was a great addition. And we got a lot of feedback from the attendees appreciating the opportunity to get out of our room and then listen to a different subject and get back in. It was a nice breakup. We coordinated more than 6 hours of business education during the convention, and that included requested sessions on ethics as well. And looking ahead, continue to assess the needs of the industry to provide engaging business operations and training opportunities. Planning for and expanding selection of business education for WQA's 24 convention. We've had a couple meetings already. We have a third meeting coming up next week. So we're well on our way to nailing down some great content and looking forward to seeing you all in the spring at convention.
Hey, Mike, thanks very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Wes.
That's Mike McGowan with McGowan Water Conditioning. All right, let's hop on over to the membership committee. And for the update on the membership committee, we're joined by Amanda Krangle. Amanda is with Lamplight Digital Media. Many of you know her, and she is chair of the membership committee.
Thank you, Wes. This is my first time chairing a committee. When we came on, I thought it was a good time to kind of take a harder look at our goals, what our mission and vision was for the committee. So we spent some time on that this year. We did develop a mission statement and core values for our group. Along with that, we created a one-page strategic plan that included our goals for the year. We looked at membership numbers, attrition, retention, and outlined our goals there. And that was a really fun project. We also engaged in a Dial for Data campaign. If anybody was at the mid-year leadership conference, we talked quite a bit about that and the feedback that we got from contacting existing members that are active, existing members that are really not active, meaning they don't attend events very frequently, and then past members as well. And we got some really great information from that. We also had the roundtable discussions at the mid-year leadership conference and got some great feedback, and we have some action items for the coming year. The accomplishments were really, honing in on what is our vision, what is it that we're trying to do through our committee, and you guys can read that here. We also described our mission, which I think is really important, which kind of spoke to our goals for membership engagement and retention. And we've got some really fun projects over the next year to help grow all of those things. The core values I thought were really interesting to go through as a group. And so those basically, as we can read here, we're going to strive to serve each other with a member first mindset. We really want to focus on collaboration, and I love the fact that we've been having joint committee meetings. I'd love to see more of those happen so that we can understand what's going on and have meetings like this so that we can understand what the different committees are working on and how we can complement each other. We also want to elevate each member with their unique talents and skills. And we want to have not only a plan, but we want to take productive action. So that's a big thing that I would like to really see happen with our committee, is that not only do we come up with ideas, but we put them into action. That's what we came up with, their core values for this year. All right, so looking ahead, again, now that we have the data, not only from the Dial for Data campaign, but we also have all of the information from the roundtable discussion. We're going to be using that to develop materials for education of existing members, onboarding of new members, and of course, retention. I think the big takeaway there was a lot of people don't realize all that the WQA has to offer. And so as a membership committee, we want to come up with a strategic plan to help educate members on what they can take advantage of, and that will also aid in retention. The onboarding campaign is something that we're working on. And then, of course, every year for convention, we're trying to constantly improve how we welcome new members and how that's handled, so that when people do come on board as members of the WQA, especially when they attend convention, it's really where we want to get them hooked in and really excited and passionate about being a part of this organization.
Amanda, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Of course, thank you.
I love the values. Excellent. All right, time to move on to the Industry Research Committee. Claudia Milleron with Connecticut Incorporated is chair of the Industry Research Committee. Claudia.
Hello. Thanks, Wes, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And just picking up a little bit on what Amanda just said, I love the idea of having the joint committee meetings, because it was so nice to see what other committees are doing. So I appreciate these types of events. First of all, on the Industry Research Committee, we do a lot of fun stuff. We get the chance to analyze numbers, check what's relevant for our industry, and we're trying to figure out what will benefit both dealers and manufacturers in terms of data. We review and monitor the WQA, all the existing reports that we have between a structure, categories, how do we execute it, and we recommend things how to improve it, like, based on our own usage and what we hear from other members. We also figure out what's the next level of data, or what will be interesting for everyone across all members. Some of the things that we have accomplished. First of all, our all and true tank and valve report, which we have been collecting data since 1989. Every month, we keep collecting how the industry is going. And now we have some improvements. We make the pandemic impact trends. We also did an in and out survey that we might have extra data coming out in the future. All the details will be coming up hopefully by convention to share more information with you. Another big accomplishment the research committee completed is, since 2021, we created the RO market trends and business operation reports. And just like Mike was saying, this report was created based on feedback from surveys. People found out that we didn't have information about ROs. So as the research committee, we worked hard to create the framework to report RO systems. Right now, it's still a working, it's launched already. It's a work in progress. And so far, we're seeing very good trends on the data collection. And last but not least, this is our fresh out of the oven project, the cross-correlation report. Our research committee met since convention last year all the way till this summer to come up with what will tell us how the industry is going to do, from the forecasting part and from the industry, the history side. What we did on this cross-correlation report was identifying some variables that track very close to our industry. So on this report, and I encourage everyone, if you haven't seen it, go visit WQA.org, Grow Industry Reports. because it shows how the data correlates to, of course, RO systems, personal consumption expenditures for durable goods, and housing starts and forecasts. We'll be updating these quarterly, so make sure that you take a time to review this data. And looking ahead, we continue to monitor and improve all the existing reports that we have. And moving forward, we're going to start considering additional market trend reports. So be on the lookout for surveys, because we will want to hear from all members to see what they think will be valuable. So I invite everyone to join the research committee. Very interesting things happening there. Thanks, Wes.
Claudia, thank you. Appreciate that. A lot of good information there from the Industry Research Committee. Let's continue with our updates. It looks like we're going to go back to Claudia because we're going to get an update on the Thrive Advisory Council. Claudia?
Yes, thank you, Wes. And luckily for me, WQA gives us a lot of opportunities to volunteer in so many different aspects. From the research, which is one of my passions, to diversity and the lead development. So the things that we're doing on our Thrive Advisory Council is we're trying to help members grow, like between the network, perspective, and impact. We try to develop recommendations for engagement, training, and knowledge opportunities to help members grow with everything for the industry. We support the WQA mentorship program, and we create buzz and engagement to promote talent, ideas, and experiences. We're trying to bring a new set of ideas, perspectives, and everyone to feel welcome on the industry. So this is one of the objectives of this advisory council. So far, what we have accomplished, we engaged with other advisory councils, WQA Win and Rise, and we are overseeing the WQA scholarships. In 2022 and 2023, we have awarded 16 scholarships. And if you want to learn about WQA and how you can be awarded a scholarship, visit the wqa.org/convention. And we also provide support to restructure the WQA mentorship program. We're trying to figure out how to make the best impact for mentees, and so ensure that the Thrive representation on task force, it's across different representations of industry. Next. And looking ahead, we gather feedback from membership and other volunteer groups to help provide direction on designing resource page, offering tips to support workforce recruitment, development, retention, and to provide recommendations on promoting the industry. So getting people excited and building pride about being on the water treatment industry, because like we all know, this is the time to be very interesting topic. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Claudia. Appreciate that update. Continuing with our councils, we have these 3 advisory councils, Thrive, Rise, and Win. We're going to switch gears here to the Rise Advisory Council and call on Derek Packard with Culligan Water Conditioning Packard Group. Derek is a certified water specialist and chair of the Rise Advisory Council. Derek.
Thanks, Wes, and good afternoon, WQA volunteers. I'm Derek Packard, chair of the Rise Advisory Council. It's been around a few years in some different renditions. Start first and foremost with some clarity, the goal, what we're doing, and that's to help young professionals in the industry gain access to resources, network with other people, information, connections to hopefully succeed at the next level and be great, committed WQA members. You've often heard the term around, the silver tsunami throughout the years, and definitely one of the early aims of this council was to hopefully reverse that trend. Some of the accomplishments when we look back, I'll start with, worked with Thrive and the WIN advisory councils. Those are kind of partner councils, we'll call them, to really oversee some WQA scholarships, which have been awarded. Second, provide recommendations to restructure the mentorship program to really increase the value of that the mentees are receiving and help usher them into being, great contributing members. And that's that the RISE Council itself's participation on task forces to support the mentors increased as well. You can see a link on the right there if you want to learn some more. and collaborated with the other councils to host an in-person meeting at the WQA convention. That was really powerful. And then the mid-year, which I regrettably missed, but heard good things about that as well. Looking ahead for RISE, we're going to do a survey, young professionals and professionals that are new to the industry or WQA, helping to identify gaps, topics we can focus on, hopefully through a webinar series to bring value to our members and those interested parties, and then ultimately design the format of topics as well to host a 2024 RISE webinar series. Open to feedback and ideas on that as well as that unfolds. So thanks for listening. Reach out to me with any questions. Back to you, Wes.
Hey, Derek, thank you very much. Sounds like a lot going on and some exciting things. Appreciate that. All right. And then another advisory council is the WIN Advisory Council. And for that, we head back to Jamie West with CTEC Water Solutions, chair of the WIN Advisory Council. Jamie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Our goal for the WIN Advisory Council is to provide the recognition, the resources, and the mentoring opportunities for women in the water treatment industry. We develop and recommendations for training, engagement, and knowledge opportunities requested by the female workforce. We gather and provide information and data regarding the female workforce and trends among our members and within our industry. And we support the WQA mentorship program, whereby professionals will gain valuable insights, make crucial industry connections, and can definitely further their careers within our industry and their companies. We have accomplishments. We have worked with the Rise and Thrive Advisory Councils. As you can see, the three of us work really well together, and there's a lot of intermingling amongst the councils to have representations of each of us on the other councils so that we do have a cohesive view and direction for us to go. We ensure the WIN Council representation and participation to support the planning of where WQA mentorship program webinars are headed. And we collaborate with each other to host the in-person events at convention annually as well as mid-year. And you can look to the right of your screen. In 2017, there was 15% of women amongst the volunteers. That was 152 participants. In 2023, we went to 34%, so more than doubled with 238 total volunteers. So it definitely is a great focus and a growing part of our industry. Looking ahead, we would like to, of course, expand by data collecting to identify the targets and learn how to help members to step out of their daily tasks. We want to, second, develop a day in the life video recognizing women in the water space and different roles in the industry. And 3, we can design content based on the gaps and determine the best delivery method to get the information out to the workforce.
All right, Jamie, thank you. We appreciate it. We now are moving on to the Water Sciences Think Tank Advisory Council. This is a new name for this group, I believe. And Frank Bragano, PhD with Bragano Consulting, is the chair of the Water Sciences Think Tank Advisory Council.
Good afternoon, everyone. This past year, a leadership team made up of individuals from the Water Sciences Committee got together to look at the Water Sciences Committee in terms of what we've done in the past, where we are today, and the future role. And this committee then formulated a new direction for the Water Sciences Committee. Historically, most of you know the Water Sciences Committee has been very active in the Water Quality Research Foundation and the research projects that were conducted by the foundation, and also in other committees within WQA, ranging from government affairs to education, etc. The group decided that because many of the functions within the Water Sciences Committee have been transitioned to other groups within WQA or WQRF, that our best option was to sunset the Water Sciences Committee and launch a new Water Sciences think tank. And the think tank then would develop a potential list of projects for this body of technical people, scientists and others, to get together and work on. So we're encouraging WQA members to join the think tank. We've reached out to the former members of the Water Sciences Committee, reaching out to all of you today. And whether you're a member of the think tank or not, we're asking you to submit projects to the think tank that would be to the betterment of our industry, not for a specific company or dealership, but for the betterment of our industry. And then the membership of the think tank will take and review these projects, prioritize them, and then select some projects to work on. So here is an example. This isn't a limiting list. This is an example of the type of projects that we expect the think tank to work on. One would be to continue efforts to support other WQA committees in any way needed. Also to support external stakeholders as to how they can understand and use the technologies that our industry has. Work to identify emerging contaminants, be on the front end of emerging contaminants, not necessarily have to wait till the EPA, but let's be on the front end of that. Look at new technology advancements that are occurring in our world today. A good one is artificial intelligence. How is artificial intelligence going to impact our industry? How can it make our products better, for example? And then also sustainability, carbon reduction, et cetera. How can our industry work to improve our products in terms of efficiency or sustainability? So we've moved forward to the think tank. Eric Yagi is the WQA advisor to the committee. And if you're interested in being on the think tank or submitting projects to the think tank, please reach out to either Eric or myself. Thank you.
All right, Frank, appreciate that. Frank Pagano with the
Welcome.
Think Tank Advisor, Water Sciences Think Tank Advisory Council. Moving along to the regional and state and federal government affairs committees, we want to get an update from RJ Easton with U.S. Water Company. RJ is the vice chair of the Federal Government Affairs Committee. RJ?
Thank you, Wes. Let me apologize, folks, for any background noise. I blew a flat earlier today, so I have found myself at the car dealership getting that replaced. So I apologize for any background noise or unexpected noises besides myself here. I do want to start by complimenting WQA's legislative staff. They have done a heck of a job in building a very cohesive plan for 2024 that builds off a lot of successes that we've seen over the last few years. So to start, the goals you see in front of you, these are for both committees, both the federal as well as the state and local government affairs committee. And I think what you'll see is a common thread amongst these goals in that growing association involvement in government affairs, regardless of the level or regardless of the individual's experience, is going to be critical for us as a committee moving forward. So for starters, educating that both our WQA members as well as legislators and regulators will look to monitor and track federal, state, and local policies that impact our industry while keeping WQA members well informed, and from that, developing policy priorities accordingly. But we'll certainly look to hopefully make that as much as possible and in a growing way, a two-way street where members are getting involved in informing WQA's legislative staff of areas of concern, areas that we need to be looking out for, new regulation or new legislation, especially at local and state levels that could pop up in what I like to call kind of a game of whack-a-mole. Beyond that, we'll look to engage the members and empower them with the tools to engage and educate policy members on key issues to ensure informed decision making. So as I mentioned in our previous goal, getting more involvement from the members is critical, but the WQA legislative staff has done a good job of putting together materials and tools that I think can make it a more comfortable and an easier conversation, if you will, to get members involved directly with the regulators and legislators within their states as well as in their localities. And then finally, from an advocacy perspective, WQA staff, as I've mentioned, already has and will into the future stands ready to react and respond to these emerging threats and regulatory issues. And ultimately, from my personal perspective, this is one of, if not the most important thing that the committee can assist with, and that the legislative staff at WQA does. Again, I call it a game of whack-a-mole. And we've been quite successful at it in years past in an effort to strike down, or a better way is educate state and local legislators and regulators on the impact that legislation, regulation can have, and oftentimes the misinformation that accompanies it. So we'll break the accomplishments into each specific area. So starting with regional and state committee, some of the highlights from the past year: overturned a 15-plus-year regulation in Houston. So this was working in concert with the Texas Water Quality Association, as well as a number of association members within Texas, that amended the city of Houston's specialty plumbing code and created an exemption from a double check valve for residential water softeners. So for dealers in particular, manufacturers certainly, dealers in particular, this was a big win for anyone who's doing business in the state of Texas, and in particular Houston. Beyond that, there was the passage of Indiana House Bill 1138. This was a lead in school drinking water bill, and WQA successfully advocated for third-party certified language and appropriate NSF and ANSI standards to be included in the law. A common thread that you'll see throughout the accomplishments as well as the goals is the more that WQA has gotten involved at a federal and a state level, the more that these groups of legislators and regulators are turning to WQA and its dealers, its association members, as a source of information, as a source of expertise. And that's a big win long-term, and a common thread amongst all of our goals long-term is to continue to be that area of expertise. And then finally, 10+ letters were sent on state legislation and regulations issues, briefs, and specific state topics. So again, it's pulling in members that help expand upon the 2 or 3 dedicated individuals at WQA to keep abreast of as many issues that are going on as possible at state and local levels. On the Federal Government Affairs Committee side, we had our first in-person congressional fly-in in Washington, D.C. since before COVID. So this was a very exciting event, one of, if not the best attended as well by WQA association members, with 38 people on site. Those 38 attendees had meetings with 59 different congressional offices, helping to foster relationships for the industry. And why these groups were there to talk about 1 or 2 very specific agenda items, both the Healthy H2O Act and some other items. It also helps to build both at a federal level, but then the individual state level, meeting with House members, meeting with Senate members. Oftentimes these issues trail back into their local offices. And so they're great relationships across the board that are being created. Additionally, the group commented on federal regulations and legislation related to PFAS, again, just growing that level of connection and of expertise in the eyes of regulators and legislators, the interested parties. And then finally, there was the introduction of the Healthy H2O Acts in both chambers of Congress and the creation of a grassroots outreach campaign. The WQA has been able to secure 30+ co-sponsors, sponsors that are from both the House of Representatives as well as from the Senate side. And so there's a lot of traction in a bipartisan manner for the Healthy H2O Act. If you have any questions on this, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of the committee members or the legislative team at WQA. They'd be more than happy to answer all of your questions there. So as we look ahead, again, we're looking to effectively just expand upon what we have already been doing. So from an education perspective, developing resources and planning webinars on government affairs related topics. The hope here is to build confidence amongst association members who maybe have little or no experience with any type of political, legislative, regulatory matters, and lowering that as any kind of a barrier to get involved in these things. Because association members getting involved really expands the reach of what we're able to keep track of and what we're ultimately able to accomplish. We'll look to expand the congressional fly-in. We want to encourage as many WQA members as possible to coordinate state legislative days as well in 2024. These 2 things really, again, help to build reliance and trust on WQA's expertise, so that if something, let's say, starts to make it through the halls of your state legislature, et cetera, that people in those key positions of power feel like they have someone that they can turn to for help. And then finally, from an advocacy perspective, we want to present grassroots opportunities for WQA policy priorities, including to continue to advocate for and push for passage of the Healthy H2O Act.
Now let's move on to the Professional Certification and Training Committee. Cliff Fosnacht with Pacific Purification, Certified Master Water Specialist and Chair of the Professional Certification and Training Committee, joins us now. Cliff, take it away.
Wes, thank you for that introduction and wish everybody a good afternoon. It's my honor as the current Education and Certification Committee Chair to share a little bit about why and what education and certification is vitally important in today's ever-changing world. As I have sat here and listened to all of these reports, there seems to be a very resounding common thread through each and every one of these reports that revolve around education. You may ask yourself, why do I or my employees need to participate in classes or even think about being certified? I'm sure all of you have asked that question of yourselves, right? So our customer base has and is becoming much more informed about the issues surrounding the condition of our drinking water, not only from a quality perspective, but from a supply concern as well. Our customers have come to rely on us as the professionals to have the knowledge and the understanding of the issues and to be able to provide them the solutions to address their concerns. And all of this begins with education. Many of us have said that education and certification is the most important part of and the reason that this fantastic organization exists. The legislative advocacy and all of the other programs provided by WQA are important for the longevity of the industry, and they are all made stronger by having educated and certified professionals on board. Our Certification and Education Committee has been tasked with the overview of many avenues and provisions for members to become educated, helping to increase their knowledge and to become part of an elite group who are certified. As I illustrated earlier, the importance of education cannot be overstated. One of the many tasks we attend to is assuring our education content is current, accurate, relevant, and above all, applicable. We do this through the use of task forces that are assembled to provide guidance and content for the various curricula. Our members often acknowledge that professional certification is synonymous with education and training. Some have even reported that training from the WQA has led to greater employee empowerment and engagement. It reduces errors and results in fewer support calls to the office from the technicians in the field. The committee also continues to work through a dedicated task force to ensure that the education presented at our conventions meets the needs and the high standards that all of our attendees have come to expect. The committee has formed 2 task forces this year. The first was created to determine the relevancy and the scope of an onboarding training tract for service technicians. One of their first deliverables was to design a job survey analysis to determine what a new technician is expected to be able to do on a day-to-day basis. This survey was sent out this summer, and I want to thank all of those who have responded. We all see surveys come across our emails and our boards, and if most of you are like me, survey, click, next. But for those of you that did respond to them, thank you so very much. All of your input is so vitally important to our jobs. I'm also happy to say that the task force has met numerous times and is diligently working to complete the onboarding track for maintenance activities. While it is still a work in progress, through their efforts, I am confident that we will have a product that will meet the industry goals. The second task force under the committee has been working on the technical education program for the convention. We have a variety of interests among our convention attendees, and the task force strives to make sure that everyone who attends is able to have a valuable educational experience. Task force has met frequently over this past summer and has selected topics that will help those new to the industry understand the critical aspects of applying treatment, and for the more experienced personnel, and notice I said experienced, I didn't say older. For the more experienced personnel, the task force selected topics that will help them fine-tune their knowledge and skills and explore new applications and business ventures. As we look ahead to the 24-25 years, the committee continues to solicit and examine feedback from the industry to make sure our work is aligned with the industry needs. The feedback comes from course and convention surveys as well as informal discussions. The WQA's instructor-led classes have had a very strong and positive response. They have been very successful in addressing the shortcomings of the self-study online training, which we all affectionately know as the MEP, and the textbooks that had preceded that. The instructor-led training has reinvigorated participation and success in the professional certification program. Our goal is to continue to advertise and develop, perfect our online instructor-led classes. Our technicians have become educated and certified, and there is a greater tendency for them to remain in the industry, and with the employer investing in their development. The process also encourages and promotes their desire to learn more about this great industry that they represent, which consequently in turn benefits both them and their employers. We are looking to collect best practices around the industry and produce a guidance document that business owners can use to help attract and professionally develop their technical employees. And finally, in our effort to continue to be a force in the industry and to foster a greater awareness among our younger generations of great opportunities in this industry, the committee is exploring how we can reach the younger people, specifically those of high school age, as they begin to look at their career paths. We are looking at ways to reach those students and provide them with information about how they can become part of an industry that touches the social, economic, and health fabric of our everyday lives. Wes, it's back to you, sir.
And thank you, Cliff. Appreciate that. That was thorough and excellent, as usual. All right, and now let's move on to the Events Committee and Jorge Zukowski with Best Water Solutions. A voting member of the Events Committee will now present that report. Jorge.
Great. Thank you, Wes. First off, I'd like to provide a lot of kudos and thank yous to Angie and her team. They did a great job, and two successful events had recently been undertaken. One was the convention in Las Vegas, and the second was the Mid-Year Leadership Conference. In regards, one of the things I think we're learning as an events committee, and I think this is kind of resonating throughout the convention world, is that in-person conventions are more valuable now than they have ever been before. We're also looking now at what we're doing with WQA and the different events through a reset post-COVID with a new lens, focusing on quality over quantity. So there's some numbers that I wanted to share with you really quickly. The WQA convention in Las Vegas, attendees up 32% from 2022. We saw a 24% over budget goal reached. We saw a lot of positive feedback. 93% of the participants indicated their objectives were met during this event, and 91% of the participants were very satisfied or very satisfied. So it's kudos to the team. They did a very good job of putting this together and staying focused, managing costs as well as increasing the revenue side and ensuring that people that were paying to attend received value for their investment. And that continues to be a major thrust for the committee. The Mid-Year Leadership Conference, unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but I've heard great feedback from that. It was incorporating a new strategy on content logistics, and it seems to be working well. And there's movement in the right direction as far as that's concerned. And then third, also you'll see on this slide, productive joint sessions with the business operations training and professional certification, which we just discussed a little bit, training committees at the Mid-Year Leadership Conference, and also kind of developing that, brainstorming to develop more content for convention strategy moving forward. So right now the committee's synthesizing Angie and her team are synthesizing that info and looking forward to seeing where we go from here. So there's a lot of interesting things that are going on. Locations for upcoming events have been announced, and the team is busy working on putting those things together. Looking ahead, what's going to be happening is, as mentioned, defining and implementing a clearer mission of the events committee and communicate that to the committee membership. So one of the things that's been important that Doug has been working on with Angie and other members of the committee is kind of moving from a committee that was kind of doing some kind of logistics and granular detail focus into a more overall strategy and doing more strategic thinking and direction. And I think that's a very positive movement in the right direction as far as the events committee, a committee that I've been involved in for many, many years. So I see that change, and I see Angie driving that change, and I think that's fantastic. We're also going to be focusing on member recruitment and as well as succession planning. Right now, we don't have a committee chair or vice chair, and so we're working towards getting all that in order and all that together. The third thing is defining that strategy for convention, including clear objectives, target audience, and value propositions to make sure that that can be clearly communicated moving forward, so that our key constituents will understand what they're to expect, what they're getting for their investment, and understanding that it is a good investment. That's kind of where we are in a nutshell as the committee. The committee's got a lot of work to do. Angie's been doing a fantastic job, and stay tuned for more things as they develop that will be clearly communicated to our community. Thank you, Wes.
And thank you, Jorge. Appreciate that. Great update as usual. All right, moving on. Our final committee report, the Communications Committee, and we are going to turn things over to Sterling McNeil, Chair of the Communications Committee.
Thanks, Wes. The update for the Communications Committee. Our goals for the committee is to support the WQA strategic plan. We're looking to help the association grow and to promote key events. Some accomplishments that has happened is we now have a PFAS portal that it's all in one place and it's only for members. We've also had a task force, the ethics task force. Now we have a resource to promote and encourage WQA's code of ethics. And lastly, we have the next phase of a public awareness campaign. Looking ahead, the next phase of the public awareness program, we're looking to have an updated betterwatertoday.org site. We're also looking how to help members with AI and how is this going to affect their business. And lastly, WQA's anniversary. And we're looking to celebrate 50 years of WQA in 2024. So lots of exciting things coming up. Wes, thank you very much. Back to you.
All right, Sterling. Appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us and kicking off Member Appreciation Month by participating in our volunteer summit and sharing the many achievements and accomplishments of our volunteers. If you are inspired to become a volunteer by what you heard today, or perhaps maybe switch over, join a new group, go to wqa.org/volunteer to sign up for our many opportunities to get involved, okay? We'll be in contact with all of today's giveaway winners, as Kathleen mentioned, and then visit wqa.org/member appreciation to view our other special events, which will be happening this month, as you see there on the screen. We hope to see you as well in person at the next WQA big event. That's our convention, March 5th through the 7th in Orlando, I should say. And our additional pre-convention programming will take place on March 4th. And so if you need any additional help by any chance, if you want to apply for the WQA scholarship for the convention, visit the convention website for more information as well to take advantage of those opportunities. They really are great. Well, with that, everybody, thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for being a member and an active member, engaged member of the Water Quality Association. Thanks so much.